So welcome. We're so excited to have you with us again today.
On such a festive week. What a nice way
Yes.
to kind of slide into the holidays with you ladies. So glad to be here.
Yeah, no, very exciting. So today we're going to be talking about dominating year end with Accountant Connect, and it's crazy that we're talking about year end. It went by so fast, and now's the time for us to be focusing on getting ready, right, for going back into busy season. I don't think our tax filing season technically ends like on November 15th, right? Because that's when our 990s are due. And so we really get 6 weeks before we have to ramp up again. But yeah, there's so much to get done. And this is the time to really be doing it. But before we get to do that, we get to eat turkey and all kinds of yummy food and spend time with our family. So that's awesome. So welcome everyone. Liz, since I'm driving, you get to introduce yourself first this week.
All right, I'd love to. So I'm Liz Scott, and the coolest thing that I do is work with apps. I absolutely love it because I'm able to be that voice from the accountant's perspective. What is it that we're looking for? What is it that we need? And then be able to watch those implementations of change. So it's fun and it's ever changing. I think that, my personality needs different, chronically changing. So I think that I love having this opportunity.
Fantastic. Yes, and I also love apps and technology so much. But my new role is with Woodard. So you guys know Woodard from Woodard, the training and most commonly for the Scaling New Heights conference. So I recently joined the Woodard team back in October, so last month, and I am in charge of helping get the educational lineup together and produced for the Scaling New Heights conference. And then I also am the chief editor of the Woodard Report, which is our online magazine. And then I'm also building, I'm really, really excited about this. I'm actually going to be building a instructor writer coalition at Woodard. So for those of you that are writing content and speaking in the conference circuit, I'm going to be creating a program that is just for you to help support you with the skills that you need to learn for collaboration and creating a community around the people that are bringing content to our community. So I'm really excited about that.
That's an amazing opportunity.
It really is. And I'm having so much fun. I love working with the team. They're fantastic. It's like just every day I work with brilliant people, and it's like every day I'm like, wow.
You're the perfect person for that role. So I'm just very happy for you.
Thank you, Liz. And we have Heather Sperduta, the Vice President of the Accountant Channel and Operations at ADP. And Heather, thank you so much for joining us again.
Hey, my pleasure. I was actually thinking of wearing my sweatshirt from the Happy Hour camp because I did go home from the Happy Hour camp with not one, but two Dirty Dancing sweatshirts. So when I was picking out my attire, I was like, do I go with the Dirty Dancing sweatshirt or do I go with the more festive kind of Thanksgiving Day vibes? But I put that to good use. And I'm taking the Happy Hour concept very seriously. So I'm back from the office and I'm in my home in the Sperduto basement bar setup, ready to kick the festivities into high gear. I was trying to figure out, I'm like, should I go in the office? I go, Happy Hour is so much more fun than anything else I get to do in the day. So I am ready to rock out with you ladies and make this a really nice event. The topic's important, right? Like there's so many things that happen for business owners and accounting professionals and bookkeepers. They're really that guiding light that's going to pave the way to make sure that this goes smoothly, because there's a lot of moving parts that go into businesses closing out the year, and the accountants doing that tax planning and having that forward lens to make sure that that naturally paves the way for what happens with the finances and the taxes that are all needed to get into tax season.
Absolutely. And I think that this time is also the time for companies to be looking forward to benefits, adding benefits, and planning, looking forward into what do they want to roll out for their team members over the next year as well. So do you want to roll out a simple IRA, a SEP, a 401k? Do you want to start offering health benefits? All that are things that go into the tax planning at the end of the year. And a lot of those things have to be done before the end of the year in order to get a tax advantage. on the 2022 tax return. So, you know, as accounting professionals and bookkeepers, we're the eyes and ears, right? Even if we're not the tax preparer, we're the eyes and ears as the accounting professional into what's going on in our clients' lives. And so a lot of times our clients don't realize things that they do during the year have a tax impact, but we know. And so it's really, you know, we play a really important role in advising them and making sure that they're ready for that tax and for that tax filing period, and also they don't miss opportunities that they have.
Well said.
So awesome. So thank you to our Champaign level sponsor for 2022, Ignition. We've had a lot of fun with Ignition, and we're not done yet. As our Champaign level sponsor, we've had Appy Camp, we've been to a couple conferences, and had a lot of fun. We also even created a template for Ignition users to use in their own firms. So it's been really awesome, and also a big year for us. Appy Hour actually started using Ignition. I had used it in my firms for years, and we started using it in Appy Hour, and it's actually really streamlined our process, which has been fantastic. So thank you to our friends at Ignition for supporting us this year.
And allowing us to make those QuickBooks templates, because, you know, so many of us are pro advisors. And if you have reoccurring engagements, there's a template for that. And if you have cleanup engagements, there's a template for that. So lots of good templates for specifically QuickBooks users that we created. So thanks, Ignition, for letting us do that.
So our agenda, before we kick off with the Accountant Connect overview and the demo, I wanted to just talk about some like, what are the things that we do between now and the end of the year to get ready to make sure that our firms are ready for a smooth, busy season and that our clients are ready. Liz, do you have, what are like, can you give us like the top 3 things that are top of mind when you're going into the last 6 weeks of the year?
So where I'm at right now, so just, you know, real life scenario, that we had a team meeting in the accounting firm today, and we went through all of the 1099 vendors for all of the clients. We've been kind of doing that progressively for the last few weeks. But then today we were able to mark done on so many of our checklists that we've already sent out our possible 1099 vendor list to clients. So that's one, that's huge. The other one is we start talking about payroll to our clients. So we want to make sure that any of the end of year, like you said, any changes to payroll, any contributions to any type of retirement, health benefits, all of those bonuses, making sure that if they want to do Christmas bonuses or holiday bonuses, that we make those changes and implement it before the end of year, because it makes it so much harder if we wait. And then also closing out the books. So those are the top 3 that consume, I mean, it's funny to say it in the list of 3, but, you know, each of those has checklists within it that really do take quite a bit of brain power.
Well, I know one that is more like an on your business thing than an in your business thing is pricing, is revisiting your engagements with your clients and really looking at, are these the right clients that I'm working with? Am I the right professional to be working with them? Have I priced the engagement right? What is my profitability? Do I have the right team in place? So there's a lot of things when you're leading up to that busy season that you need to be looking at, you know, on your firm rather than in your firm, to make sure that it goes smoothly and that you're set up for success going into the new year.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because there is a little bit of you know, we've been conditioned to, at this time of year, we're starting to reflect. So all of that thankfulness and reflection over what has happened over this year. And then as we start thinking about the new year, what can we do differently? And so this is the perfect time to start priming yourself for what is it that you want to do differently? What has worked this year? What do you want to add on, or what do you want to maybe reduce? That, you know, this is when to get ready, so that way you're able to then January 1, if you're going to shift things, be primed for it.
I'd love for our viewers that are joining us today, share what your top one, just the top thing that's top, that's in your mind that you want to do in your firm before the end of the year to make things go smoother. And we'll share some of those out as you guys share them.
Well, you make me want to ask Heather Spaduto a question. So,
Yeah.
I wonder in relation to ADP and with payroll, what are you seeing happening right now? Are there the conversations about certain topics?
Well, we like to create the sense of urgency starting like yesterday, because if you think about the magnitude of ADP, we just celebrated our millionth client, by the way. We had a huge celebration last week in our corporate office and our offices really around the world, which is amazing. But the sheer magnitude of volume that will transpire with the clients that we share with all of you, we'll do over 60 million W-2s in January. And if you can only imagine, we had this period of time with this great resignation where over 40 million people said, I'm going to change my job. I'm going to leave my job, right? And then that naturally alluded to this reshuffling. So a lot of workers out there are going to be getting year-end documentation from maybe not just one employer, but a couple or several, right? So that raises the bar on the reporting that happens at the end of the year, and then that flows into tax season, So for us, yes, the bonuses are a big deal. And I always allude to the fact that people are great at their craft. They're really good landscapers and doctors and IT or lawyer, or they own a hair salon. But that aspect of, hey, I'm going to run some bonuses, and we ask them to put in the technology, how do you want that taxed? And they're like, I don't know. What do you think? Right? So there's some decisions that have to be made that have a bigger impact. And that's why we're so ingrained with working with the accountants and the bookkeepers to make sure that those decisions are the right decisions for the business owner, right? Because if we tax them biweekly for that big old bonus, nobody would be happy in that scenario. But then exactly what you all had suggested before, things around fringe benefits, or do we need to hold W-2s open for any reason? Is there any additional reporting that needs to happen that maybe won't necessarily come our way, like a third-party sick pay in certain states that don't release that information until, call it the second or third week of January. So we're just making sure that transparency, that communication. Liz, you mentioned checklists, like how critical is it to just identify the tasks that need to get done and make sure that they get done in a really timely and smooth fashion to close out the year and then springboard everyone into the new year. The other thing that I would just share as well is, with inflation and compensation, wages look different, right? A lot of companies out there made the decision to increase wages, right? And looking at that and seeing where that takes you in 2023, we're finding that to be top of mind for many employers as they're trying to get talented people, and when they get them, to keep them.
So that makes me think about that is a task that maybe in years past we really haven't thought about. What are the payroll differences? And that's a conversation opportunity with clients to be able to figure out, do they need to adjust income streams? Do they need to adjust spending? Because keeping qualified people isn't as easy as it used to be. And it's more important to make sure that, the needs are being met all the way around, both on the employee and employer side.
Absolutely. And I would say that yes, definitely in the compensation end, but it's also in other ways. It's the company culture. It's, giving people the freedom to have more work-life balance. There's other creative ways that you can compensate employees without, that isn't monetary. And I think that those are really great conversations to be having with clients, especially now in the economic environment we're in right now, for sure.
While you're thinking about changes in conversations, employee handbooks. That is a huge area of opportunity. And so you were talking about, work-life balance is why that, not really work-life balance, but that's kind of where I came into that, is thinking about the conditions around what is necessary to maintain a healthy work environment? So is it a matter of talking about sick days? Is it a matter of talking about how devices should be treated if they leave offices? So all of those are areas for opportunity is in handbooks. And there's some great templates to be able to go and play with whenever we're thinking about some of the HR resources that are available to us in ADP.
Yeah, I'm excited for Heather, for you to jump in and start showing us some of these great resources, which are free, by the way. Many of them are absolutely free. And I think as an Accountant Connect user that, you know, and I have been since it came out, I think I was one of the first people to sign up for Accountant Connect way back when, you rely on them. I mean, I rely on them now. When I'm thinking about CPE, I'm going out to Accountant Connect, but I don't want to steal your thunder, Heather, but I think we're definitely ready to jump in and start kind of taking a look at some of these amazing features.
Yeah.
So,
I'd probably like maybe just start, because I know that some of the attendees today are active users of Accountant Connect and some are intrigued about it. It's an application that was designed, Heather, with yourself and some other folks. I know early on we had a unique group of individuals and we asked them to take a whiteboard and draw for us the experience of what they wanted. And the number one factor was we share clients. And how do I gain access in a secure fashion to originally it was just the reports, right? I need a 941, I need a W-2, can I get the payroll register? And that quick and easy, like instantaneous, I need to calculate a bonus. Can I look at what we did last year, right? So the access to the reporting hands down rose to the occasion, and accounting professionals have downloaded over 10 million reports on behalf of their clients, right? So that was like the first thing. But then from there, it really grew into this innovative environment where we said, could we share some of the power and the magnitude of the data and the analytics that we have, not just on the clients that we share, but just workers in general that are part of the ADP environment today. And then some of those ancillary tools and resources that, interestingly enough, have really started to fuel the advisory services for accountants, right? So that's the concept of Accountant Connect. And I don't know that we could be more proud to say that there's 60,000 accountants that are registered for the experience today. That's a lot of bookkeepers, enrolled agents, accountants, CPAs, and it really took off, and we're pretty proud of what that experience looks like. But the point of our conversation today is really to talk about using the tool through year end, right? And how do I take advantage of gaining access, interfacing with the general ledger, jumping in and running a payroll if I need to, even things like S Corps. You know, there are a lot of S Corp payrolls that need to get done and closed out before the end of the year. And to provide that flexibility to onboard the client, run the payroll, do it at a discounted rate, and do it in bulk tends to make accountants pretty efficient and productive. So a couple things just on the images, if you want to flow through them, Heather, and then we could actually look at the tool, if that's okay with you. Oh, you want to have a toast?
Okay, so I've started early. Whenever I saw that it was, you know, cranberries, anything cranberries, I'm like, oh,
Right.
I love that tart. So I did. I saw the drink and I was like making it and diving in.
There you go. So I didn't get that far, but I did bring the glass of champagne. So cheers to Heather and Liz on a beautiful experience for all the attendees that are here with us on Happy Hour, and a happy Thanksgiving.
Well, cheers to you. And what a classy way to ring in the episode New Year with champagne. And
there
inside of your downstairs bar area.
Welcome to my home. Welcome to my home. Okay. So if you want to reference the slides, you guys are more than welcome to take that recipe and make it part of your experience for Thanksgiving. But I mentioned some of these things that we're going to go through in the demonstration, but looking at, I know Heather, you're a big advocate for the interface with the general ledger, especially with QBO, right? We got a thumbs up there. The bonus payrolls, the fringe benefits, just the overall year-end package, and then processing those S Corps. The other thing that I would share as we look to the next image is just how passionate we are about the quality of service. So when you all need something, we are here for you. And it starts with our amazing accountant help desk. So as long as the bookkeepers and accountants that are with us today are listed as a contact, so security is always top of mind for us. You have the ability to call into our accountant help desk and be able to ask any questions that are related to those clients and take action where, you know, action is needed to make sure that they have a smooth year end or any time throughout the entire year. The other thing that I would mention is our clients have an environment of service 24/7. So again, if you're listed as a contact, you have the ability to call in 24/7. You may not reach the accountant help desk at midnight. However, you will be able to connect with somebody that absolutely has access to be able to support you in the arena of the clients that we share. But innovatively, you know, a lot of bookkeepers and accountants shared with us, I want to do it all online, right? Like, give me that chat functionality, allow me to upload documents and track the progress of what's being done. I think it's the way of the world. When we, you know, my husband orders groceries. I don't know the last time that we've actually hit the grocery store because it shows up on our doorstep, or the way that we track when we order food. It's the same sort of concept in the experience with Accountant Connect. And then last but not least is our field presence, right? So we have these dedicated associates. They're in and out of accounting firms and bookkeepers throughout the course of the day. And they really become the extension of the firm. They become the face of the firm, and you know, they create a friendship, a really good quality professional relationship with the firms that they align with and the clients that are recommended our way. So what do you think? You guys want to jump in and take a look?
100%. And I'm so excited about the help desk. Like, that's just, there's so many times that there's a payroll question that is needed. You know, you were talking about mapping, the GL mapping. And I'm working with some franchises, and repeatedly they're setting up new locations, and the GL mapping is really important. And so that team approach, I can attest to, because that's what's happening over and over again. We have these certain requirements from the franchise, and that you're helping us to make sure that the GL mapping, which is a little complex, is always accurate.
We're going to make it user friendly. But Liz, can you do me a favor? I think you need to give me some special access, because it says that you disabled the access. So you must have a secret way of turning that on.
Heather has the wand today.
Oh, all right.
That's me, and I just did it. Yes, you should have access now.
Here we go. Can you guys see my screen?
We do. We see Zoom.
All right, perfect. So hold on, let me just move this bar so I can actually get to the demo. How's that happening?
So there's a tab at the top that says welcome to ADP right behind that Zoom demo. It's just a tab. So we
see. I move that bar. Oh, here we go. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
How's that?
Perfect.
Down to the bottom. All right, here we go. We have liftoff. Let me put in my secret password to get into the demo. I don't know about your passwords, but if anybody wants to check out the demo, it's not that tough. Demo would be the username, but you'll all be able to sign into Accountant Connect on your own once you have access, and you can start to invite your clients into the experience. So here's what I would say. Authorization, security, top of mind for everybody. The simplest thing to do is when you jump into the experience, you just let us know which mutual client you want to connect with. So there's a few different product lines at ADP. The majority of our clients on the small business side, there's almost 800,000 of them are on our run experience, which is really for the smaller businesses. They tend to have under 50 or so employees. So you let us know anything about them, whether it's the federal ID number or if you actually know the code with ADP. Once we have that information, you tell us what you want. Do you just want the reports? Do you want the general ledger? Or do you actually want to run a payroll on behalf of the client? The cool thing is you put a little love note in there to the client, because the client is actually going to get the invitation from you to be able to say, yes, like Liz can have access to my experience at ADP. So once that's done, the clients instantly show up within your dashboard that you're looking at here on the screen within Accountant Connect. Some of the functionality that we talked about with the service experience, whether it's the accountant help desk, the phone number's there. If you have a dedicated associate, we'll tell you who they are. Or the other thing is the service requests. And that's where you have the ability to go in and let us know some things about the client, like what is it that you need? If the client got a love letter from the state or the IRS, you know how fun those are, right? you could upload that document, you could attach the file, and now there's a little bit of that documentation in that secure fashion, and then we'll update along the way what the progress has been with the action that we've taken to support that client. So the majority of the action, like I mentioned, resides on the reporting and the tax form. So you're able to go in a batch fashion. Let's say you want to run all the 941s for your clients in the third quarter. You could go in, you could pick which clients, you could pick the reporting that you're looking for, the time frame, and then as you blink, the reports are there and you can download them, you can save them, whatever it is that you see fit for the action that's needed for those particular clients. So thinking year end, really helpful is the W-2s. As fast as we run those W-2s, if you have clients that you work on their books at the business level, but you also happen to work potentially with the owner of any of the employees, you could have access to that information. And for those of you that jump into tax season, you get that ahead of schedule. So it allows you to do some nice pre-call planning before you enter into those conversations with the clients pertaining to their actual taxes.
And Heather, I want to go back to the notice thing because I can attest from firsthand experience how amazing it is to be able to go in and upload those notices and be able to kind of check it off your list of the worry, right? Because when you're faxing it in or you're, sending it to an email, it's like it goes somewhere and you're kind of like, I hope it went where it was supposed to go. What I love about the ability to upload those notices within Accountant Connect is I can see it. I can't touch it, but I can see it. And that gives me, security that it's being handled and I can track it, which is just such a huge relief for practitioners, right? Because it's not something where you need to keep calling and hoping that it's being handled. You can actually see that visibility in real time. So yay for that. That's a huge one.
I pulled up an example, Heather, of a client. I didn't know where you were going with the direction, but it's almost perfect timing. See this little bell over here? That bell gives you a notification if there's anything that you need to be aware of pertaining to any of the clients. So sometimes it might say, Amanda looks like she's in pretty good shape, but it might say there's action needed. There's an employee with a missing social security number. Here's additional follow-up pertaining to state unemployment or something of that nature. And it gives you all of the trends in the client so that you have a pulse as to what's going on with the regular runs of payroll and spot if there's something that happens like out of the ordinary that would need some additional attention. And then you also have the flow of the services that they're using. And if I could give you a different view, if I were to go over to analysis tools, Liz, earlier you were mentioning, the conversations that you're all having with your clients beyond just payroll, right? It could be about human resources. It could be about the renewal for workers' comp. Retirement is a big one. And I don't know if you're starting to hear the buzz, but there's a lot of energy around potentially the Secure Act 2.0 coming to fruition before the end of the year. So we're closely monitoring that. But if that were the case, there's going to be a lot of incentives out there. A lot of states today, California, for example, have these really nice incentives to encourage employers to extend retirement benefits to their employees. And it's only going to continue to grow from here. So having that pulse and making those recommendations to the clients is in everyone's best interest. But if I were to go ahead,
sorry.
No,
I like this team approach. I mean, it really does feel like the back and forth. I know that most of us are really busy. And so we want to be able to come in and see the status and see what's happening and not bother anybody, but yet give updates, because nothing gets clients more excited and anxious than notices and payroll.
Well, Liz, to your point, I'd also throw in the word here of like meaningful. So when Heather, you've been part of advisory board meetings with ADP, and we always get the direction from you and your peers. Like, it's one thing to have the data, like the data sometimes is plentiful. It's almost too much. How do you narrow it down to be specific? So when there's action needed, I can take it. So if I were to give you a couple of examples, like we were starting to talk about just the overall environment of the working world today, and all of us are experiencing the hiring, the terminating, the people are coming, people are going. It's kind of like the way of the world post-pandemic here. Well, getting out of the pandemic, I should say. But look at some of the trends. So I could see as an example, my client Bright Minds Innovation just hired 7 people, right? So that's kind of interesting. They just hired 7 people. Are they all in the state where my company is? Or if not, maybe I look over here and 3 of those people were in different states. Well, now I need to make sure, I don't know, do they need to have sexual harassment training in that specific state? Do they have to open up an additional state ID number in that state, right? It just adds complexity when some of these decisions are happening at an employee level. We did a webcast last week. Was it last week or the week before? And it was on this topic of state implications when we have workers that are spanning different states. 4,500 people came. I was like, this feels like a concert. There were so many people in the session, but everyone is craving guidance in terms of what we do in some of these circumstances.
Well, there's so many remote workers. And like you said, being able to visually see it gives you some indication, because just a couple months ago, I had a client who didn't think anything of it, but they added another state, an employee from another state. And, you know, it's like you said, there's all the implications and put us in a position of needing to go research. So having access to resources is really valuable.
Yeah, and with the handbook, listen, business owners we usually see business owners try to take a swing at a handbook. It's not like people say, oh, I'm not going to do it at all, right? Like they sometimes pay a lot of money, they hire an attorney. We love it when they use us, right? Because the beauty of the handbook is it's not that static resource from a compliance perspective. Like it needs to be fluid. So as minimum wage changes, as there's new policies that are put in place, the employees need to accept the terms that come up in that handbook on a regular basis. And that's usually where the business owners fall short when it comes to the complexity of this environment of hiring or people leaving within the organization, is that the handbook is not updated.
I agree. And I mean, I would almost say that a lot of small businesses don't even know whenever they're non-compliant.
It's a tough one, right? It keeps us all, keeps the wheels in motion and keeps life interesting, right? So hey, let's look at this one. We mentioned wages, right? And inflation and some of the wage growth that we've seen, although last month, some of the research was showing that it was holding a little bit more steady than it had in previous months. But if we look at that example where on the flip side, instead of hiring, maybe, or it could be hiring, but what if someone's continuing to lose an employee and maybe it's in a certain department? Like there's a little bit of a finesse of an analysis that could be done pertaining to wages. So for those of you that use Accountant Connect, or if you want to jump in after today's session, you could use our 30 million records and we give you a map of the country and we say, okay, like maybe you have this restaurant in North Carolina and they're in this particular area of North Carolina and they're struggling to keep their cook, right? So you could go in, you could pull the industry, you could pull the job type, and you could see instantly some of those benchmarks, the overtime, what bonuses look like. All of that is available directly through the Compensation Benchmarking Explorer. But then Heather, you were the one that referenced the benefit piece, right? So now it's like you go in tandem between the compensation and the benefits, because if you were to look at any of the research that's out there today, when people look at companies and what attracts them, things like work-life blend or balance, the benefits that are offered really rise to the top for workers to make decisions to say, yeah, like I would like to be part of this culture at this company. So on the industry insights, kind of neat, but you could see the demographics. This is a construction company. What does that headcount look by age, or the percentage, the span of control, the average tenure? But then you dive into things like contributions. You know, if I'm a construction company, where are my benefits allocated to those workers and who's being covered? Is it just the employee? Is it the employee and the family? Is it an employee and a spouse? So all of this is kind of cool, and that data is there. So we see a lot of firms that go in, and what they'll do is ahead of time, they'll use it as part of their pre-call planning, and then they'll come into the meeting with the client with some of this data to talk to them about things that they could address to make sure that they become that employer of choice.
Well, and this gives us insights that we didn't previously have, because we're all curious what other people are doing. We're all curious, are we equal? Are we matching? Are we above normal? I mean, there's been some circumstances where I've had a client who was way above what I would consider normal. And so, even those kinds of conversations to help to compare to others that's just fascinating.
It really is, and it can really make a huge impact for a business if they have that information, because if they don't understand why they're not getting qualified people into positions within their company, being able to see what their competitors are offering as a compensation package overall gives them some leverage to kind of figure out what the magic mix is through compensation and different benefits to bring people in and retain them, right? So I think that is huge.
Heather, of my colleague Rhonda Scherter, who's really the brilliant mind behind Accountant Connect, and she's the one that innovates regularly to make sure that this continues to just be top quality across the board. This actually is one of her favorite things to show accountants, being able to see by industry the different job types, and that like instant access to total compensation and bonus and turnover rate
Right.
with all these different industries. So I'm hoping we're intriguing everyone's interest, and there's
Well,
a little bit of a call to action there to maybe go out there and check out some of these resources on their own.
I would love to see from the people that are on this webinar, how many of you have actually been asked by a client, how much should I pay? I get that question all the time. Of, and a client is saying, I need to hire this particular position. What should I pay them? And, previously we didn't have anything to go on. It was kind of like our gut instinct, or we'd have to go buy some kind of a product to help us give us that information so we could advise them. But it is probably one of the most common questions that I think we get that, isn't an accounting question. It's an advisory question. So I love that you added this. It's a huge value add to us as an industry because it does answer one of the most common questions that we get.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The industry insights too is pretty cool, because we work with Vertical IQ, and Vertical IQ, they serve up best in class reports. They're 33 pages as we look at the auto repair that I just pulled up, but they're $300 for each report. And you could jump into 20 of them that are here in Accountant Connect. These are probably the most prevalent requests that we get. And, here it's just showing an industry demographic. We were talking about S-Corps, right? S-Corps that probably need to run some payrolls before the end of the year. It gives you the breakdown, and in auto repair shops, look, there's over 50% of those tend to be in the S-Corp bucket. But it'll show challenges. It gives really insightful questions that become almost like a guide to help you facilitate some of those meetings with your clients. And then there's an industry that's not here. You just say, okay, well, let me tap into my dedicated associate, send the request over their way. I happen to work with John Smith. Here's his contact info. And John actually has access to the broader suite of profiles, like the inclusive suite that Vertical IQ has. And he can send you over any of the requests that that would help you with the clients that you work with. How you guys doing so far? There's a couple more things I'm going to point out. Is that okay with you, Liz and Heather? And then we could keep it going from there.
Yeah, this is great. This is exactly what we need to see, is all of the resources and the changings and the kinds of conversations. You're leading us through all of the ideas that we're like jotting down and thinking about, oh, I could have that conversation too. So.
Well, I think I'm just trying to give you the roadmap that you could use the technology in your preparation or in your meeting. Like in particular, the calculators, like I would turn this bad boy around in my meeting with a client and say, let's go through some real world scenarios. You're thinking about adding an additional employee, right? What is the compensation going to look like? Well, we just determined in compensation benchmarking that we're probably looking at a salary of $72,000 a year. You could go into the salary payroll calculator and you could do a gross to net breakdown to see what some of those financials would look like for that particular employee. But some of the other like real world examples that so many of the firms are using, they're using some of the tax calculators around R&D, for an example, business valuations. Our friends over at Avalara when it comes to sales tax. So there are some really cool tools right here that you could run some real world examples with a client that today doesn't offer a 401k plan, you know, and guide them through looking at what potentially that would mean for their business, and equally as important, what that would mean for the matching or the savings for the employees. And the people are the most important aspect of any business.
Well, you know, this is priming many of us for the types of conversations that we can have. And, you know, who doesn't look like a badass whenever you're going to work with a client? So this is useful information that we don't have to do a whole lot to then go gather it and show it. And I would even say that in my experience, clients are okay if you're fumbling with something new because they're seeing information that they've never seen before. So it's okay that you're in this exploratory mode and go through the navigation with your client. I think that they would actually enjoy it too. It's fun. It's fun to look at.
It's different, right? Listen, people don't learn a ton by what they hear. I think Harvard Business Review indicates that you only learn 11% of what you hear, but you do learn 87% of what you see and hear. That's why it's always, you know, encouraging and a best practice as you're meeting with potential clients, because listen, this could help all of us sell to gain new clients or strengthen existing client relationships. Embracing some of the visuals, the demonstrations just tends to help people learn, right? And then help people take action on things that are needed to help them thrive in their business.
Well, it's really well thought out about the ways that people take in information and then, you know, process it. So there's a lot of thinking in these different resources here. And we were asked a question, could you show the 401 calculator? Is that possible? That's
Sure.
a great question.
Yeah. Listen, I always say the demo's not going to break. Here's the contribution calculator. And every time I go in, it looks different. I saw today that they're already setting up, like if we have the Secure Act, like what the calculator would look like. I go, we don't even have it yet. And they go, well, just in case, we're going to make sure that it'll be ready. But look, here's the questions that how much can you afford to contribute? You would plug and play accordingly. What's your current gross pay for this payroll? What's your current age? You have the sliding bar. How often are they paid? The percentage. So you would go through with that example for the employee. Is there a match that's going to happen on the employer side, the federal income tax rate? And then from there, you submit it, and then you would get that calculation back.
That's great. That's a great place to also start and to have that conversation. So thanks for asking that question and demoing it for us.
Hey, my pleasure, my pleasure. So this is the last tab that I'm going to jump into. Just letting everybody know that, you know, this time of year, we see firms step up the level of communication with their clients. And for those that actively work with ADP, we serve up things like marketing brochures or videos where a firm could send a video link out to the client or use it on social media that positions their partnership with ADP, and they customize it with their firm logo, or they put it on their website or make additional videos. But it's just those branded resources that say, hey, I thought really long and hard about how payroll fits in our practice, and this is the way that we run our alignment with our clients, and we recommend ADP for these reasons. Or so many firms, especially on the bookkeeping side, actually use our tools in a wholesale fashion. So they are the ones that are running the payroll. They have the level of interaction to the client. The client thinks the firm is the one with the payroll business. Behind the scenes, we're doing all the heavy lifting. But regardless of how people in the accounting and bookkeeping world work with us, we make sure that we design the assets to help you position this part of your practice to your clients.
You know, as I'm thinking about the kinds of conversations that we're having with clients, it makes me think about, I had another accounting friend who said something to me the other day, that this is the time of year to touch base with clients, that this is the time of year that they really want to hear from you. And so, you know, maybe you've been out of touch for a while, but now you need to make sure that you connect so that way you kind of have that sticky relationship. You know, to have a positive conversation is always most enjoyable to everyone. So, you know, showing something like this and walking through it, this is already the time of year that's already payroll heavy, it's 1099 heavy. So this would be a really good positive client conversation.
Yeah, 1000%. And hey, listen, things are going to change, right? We know that as you head into 2023, things are going to change. And if you're looking for angles to make sure that the clients are in the know of what the changes are so that they're in compliance, just check out things like the state payroll and tax facts at a federal level, at a state level, all the key facts and figures that we share, whether it's sales and use, depreciation. We partner with CCH. They're kind of like Cliff Notes, but the at-a-glances are here. We just loaded up that sales tax one and the depreciation one recently. On the horizon will be the 2023 federal key facts and figures, which are pretty cool, and they're sought after on a regular basis. So in closing here from the demonstration, I just want to give you a couple party favors, right? Like party favors. I feel like, you know, every time you go to somebody's house, Thanksgiving, whether you bring dessert or for me, I'm going to hopefully give you guys a couple things in terms of call to action. In the event that education is in your lane right now, as you know, for all of us, like how we get a grasp on so many changes that are happening out there. We have a plethora of webinars between now and the end of the year that are complimentary. So if you were to click on our webinar series or in our CPE down there on the bottom, you're welcome to register for any of them, right? So whether it's things from a compliance perspective, the best practices from an HR perspective, you know, you're always welcome to join us for any of those sessions. If for whatever reason taxes are in your wheelhouse, you know, or if you work closely with an accounting professional that's going to jump into tax season, the Master Tax Guide, $7,900 complimentary from ADP. So anybody that gets a guide from ADP, they get the hard copy delivered to them next month. But in addition, they get all of the resources from CCH in terms of the guide online, the state library for all the states, things like a client letter toolkit. So there are actions that are out there. This entire library, this research engine gets updated, and it also archives back over 25 years. If anybody needs to go in and grab any of that intelligence from our partners over at CCH. But if you are going to shop on Black Friday, here's the last one. At ADP, I've been here my whole career since I was in college. This is like my favorite secret here. As being one of the 60,000 people that work at ADP, and we offer this to some of our clients, we have these discount programs that are amazing. So my husband, for example, we just built a new home down at the Jersey Shore. We got 40% off Samsung TVs. I thought we were going to save on it. However, my husband just thought he was supposed to buy more TVs. So I don't know if that worked out in my best interest. But what we do is for the users of Accountant Connect, we actually give you complimentary access to LifeMart. So whether it's savings on travel, technology, restaurants, like you name it. I bought my wedding invitations from LifeMart. Anytime we travel in my world, we always come here first to see what that discount looks like. Broadway plays in New York City. That's part of Accountant Connect. So I thought that one was kind of timely considering that, you know, we're coming up to the holiday season here, but make sure that you go out there and check out LifeMart because the savings are really amazing. And it's kind of neat because you could extend it to all of your staff. And it's a nice way for us to say thank you because we appreciate the relationship that we have with the accountant community and the clients that we share. So that's the scoop from me.
Awesome. I'm sharing links inside of chat. Oh, Heather, you wanting to share the poll?
I'm going to share the poll. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. If you are interested in learning more about ADP and Accountant Connect, go ahead and answer yes, and we will send along your information to our friends at ADP. And yeah, the Accountant Connect has been a game changer for me for sure. So thank you for your investment in us and making all these amazing resources available to us.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to seeing you ladies and some of the people that support Appy Hour at QuickBooks Connect coming up, right, in Vegas.
Yeah.
A lot of us are going to be Vegas bound.
Oh my
a couple
gosh, it
weeks
feels like
away.
what we're going to do is have Thanksgiving break and then suddenly be whoosh, having a fun get together right in the middle of the holidays. So it feels like it's a continuation of holidays for me.
Do we have any sneak peek on what we can expect from ADP at QuickBooks Connect? I know you guys are going to be there.
Yeah, the cool thing is a lot of our product team will be there, and people within our service organization. So it's cool for us because we get to hear feedback firsthand, and that's how innovation happens, right? So for, you know, like a Rhonda to be able to sit with someone and look closely at general ledger and get recommendations, it's awesome to get that type of feedback because that gives us the guidance to be able to figure out where we go next.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome.
And really
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to go
appreciate
ahead and close out the poll. So if you haven't voted and you'd like to do that, I'm going to give you 5 more seconds. 5,
Perfect.
4, 3, 2, and 1. So I'm going to go ahead and end that. Thank you, everybody. So just a couple of things. There's, I think, I don't know if you talked about the new year-end checklist in Run, but that's now live, correct?
Yeah, it's live, and within the application in Run, part of our Run Reimagined, we're trying to make it more user-friendly and intuitive to walk a client through what do you need to do, right? So
Awesome.
some of the initial frame up of the conversation is now embedded in the Run product line, which is really cool. And there's a dedicated landing page. So if you know, if you're the one that works closely with a client and you really want to help give them guidance, you could go ahead and you could visit the year-end landing page that we have dedicated for each and every one of you and for our clients to make sure that they have an understanding of the experience of what that will look like. The master tax guide. Oh, I'm sorry, was that Nick? So here's the year-end guide, adp.com/year-end. And it looks like some of the attendees were interested in the master tax guide. So 2 ways. One, either in Accountant Connect under the news section, you can click on that green banner that I showed you, and that will launch you into just letting us know where you want it to be delivered to. If you're not on Accountant Connect yet, you could also just go to adp.com/MTG2023. So believe it or not, we already have 17,000 master tax guides that are on their move from CCH to the ADP offices this week.
Wow.
And then we're going to fulfill any additional orders that come in the next 10 business days and get those out before the holidays.
Awesome.
Well, it's my favorite tax book. So I copied the link.
All right. So thank you so much, Heather. This was fantastic. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us again. And we're so looking forward to seeing you in just a couple of weeks. And you too, Nick. I know Nick's here. He's answering questions in the chat, but we're looking forward to seeing you as well. So for those of you who can visit our website, theappyhour.com, you can view our recorded episodes. We typically will have those uploaded to the website within 24 to 48 hours. You can also connect with our sponsors and find those coveted drink recipes. So if you want to make that amazing cranberry drink that you saw earlier, you can find that on our website and get that ready for your festivities later this week. You can also read our blog or just send us a message if you want to reach out. And don't forget to visit ADP's website, sign up for Accountant Connect. You're crazy if you don't. It's free and it's got so many benefits for you. So if you haven't already discovered its amazingness, please head on out there and do that. You can also join the Appy Hour Lounge Facebook group. And if you're joining us on Facebook Live, which I know a few of you are today, you can register for Zoom to join the fun, and you can go on out to theappyhour.com and you can register for the Zooms there. What's going on in the Zooms, we have some chat and Q&A. So it's an awful lot of fun happening in here, and we'd love to see you here for sure. So our upcoming episodes on December, I don't think it is December 6th. I think that date's wrong, Liz.
Well, So December 6th is when we're live at.
Oh, right. Absolutely. Okay.
So that's
Yep,
just right around
December
the corner.
6th is when we're live at QVC, so definitely look out for that. And then on the 13th, we're going to have Financial Sense on. Excited, this will be the first time they're on Appy Hour, so I'm really looking forward to learning more about Financial Sense. So definitely join us for that.
I was
On the
talking about
20th,
it today.
what's that?
I said I was talking about Financial Sense today. Just, you know,
Awesome.
yeah, they got
Awesome.
great teachers.
And then on the 20th, we're going to continue our Campfire Chat series, which is a follow-up to our Appy Camp. So we're going to have, do you know who we're having on the 20th for that Campfire Chat series, Liz? I don't
Not
have
off
it at my
the-
fingertip.
no,
All right, well, it's definitely on our website, and you can also find it on Facebook. We have a list of our attendees, and our sponsors that joined us at Appy Camp will be listed there as well. And then, as we've done for the last, I think this will be our 5th New Year's Eve party, will be on December 27th. So we look forward to seeing you all there for that. We usually have lots of games and we give away prizes, and it's a ton of fun. So we hope that you'll join us for that. So huge thank you to you, Heather, and to Nick behind the scenes for joining us today. And thank you to Ignition, our champagne level sponsor for 2022. And thank you to all of you for coming and hanging out with us today. It's been super fun.
been awesome.
Happy Thanksgiving. Take care, everyone.
Yep, take
Happy
care, everybody.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.